absolutely fine as well. So welcome everybody. Monday morning. So you've all done really well actually joining on a Monday morning at 9:30. So that's my first sort of call out to you all. Thank you so much, and welcome really to the third improvement Zoom that we've run through Project A. We had one from Dave Morgan who did a session on the NIAS Care app. And we had one from Anna just last week, Anna Parry from ACE, who did a session on wellbeing, in particular focused around Schwartz rounds. The way that we've run these sessions is we've generally sort of handed over to the main presenter and let them sort of handle the actual facilitation side of things. And what's worked pretty well over the last couple of Zooms has been the chat box, where people sort of put questions and thoughts in the chat box. So if you can find the chat box, please do use it. I'd suggest though that because there's probably a slightly smaller number on the line today, there's about 12 of us, that we can probably manage this through a little bit more conversation than just through the chat box, if that's okay with everybody. And Erin, if it's okay with you, would you mind if we just did a quick check-in with people? I think we can probably do that this morning and say hello to people individually. You all right with that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so let's start that. So a quick check-in, say where you're calling in from and what you're looking forward to today. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to go down you as I can see you on my screen. So there's no favoritism, it's just as I can see you. So actually first, would you believe it's my colleague from Horizons, it's Lindsay. Hi Lindsay, how are you today?
Hey, morning. Very good. Very bouncy actually for a Monday morning. Woke up in a very good mood. It's not too bad in Leeds, a bit overcast, but yeah, happy Monday. I'm glad that we're all together on this.
Good, thanks Lindsay. Next I can see Erin. Hi Erin, how are you today?
Hi, very well. Looking forward to this. Looking forward to Damian sharing his thoughts as well, one of our QI Fellows currently. So hopefully it'll be a good one.
And that's almost a seamless link, because would you believe it, the next person on my screen is Damian. Hi Damian.
Good morning everybody. My name's Damian. I'm from Hull at the moment. Obviously a QI Fellow with Erin. Looking forward to just seeing what these are all about. It's my first one, so see how it goes.
Okay, we're looking forward to hearing from you as well, Damian. So don't be nervous, mate. Just to say it as you see it.
Yeah.
Next I can see Andrew. Hi Andrew Parker from Scotland.
Morning everyone. Looking forward to learning and sharing with others within the organisation. So good, and to see what Erin's got to say, and the others in the team as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Next I can see Nigel from Wales. Hello Nigel, how are you?
Morning Ian, good thanks. Nice Monday morning here, a bit overcast but quite warm. Really looking forward to this. It's something WAST is really interested in as a way forward for improving QI.
Great. No pressure then for Erin and colleagues. Thank you Nigel. Next I can see Nathan. Hi Nathan, how are you mate?
Morning, I'm good, thank you. How's everyone else? I am in North Lincolnshire and it's not very sunny and it's not very nice either. But I'm wishing I was in Windermere by the picture behind me.
One of my favourite places as well, Nathan. So yeah, I can relate to that. Next I can see iPad, which I presume is Dave. Hello Dave Morgan, iPad.
Yes, good morning Ian. I haven't changed my name, it's just the way my new iPad's working out. Beautiful in Teesside today. Looking forward to Erin's and the guys' session today. She's always one of my go-to people regarding QI nationally. So just bigging you up a bit there, Erin. Hope you can match that.
No pressure again, Erin. Thanks, Dave. Next I can see Anna. Hi, Anna.
Hi, and hi everybody. I know nothing about QI Fellowship. So I've got half an hour and I'm just dialing in to kind of hear a bit about what you've been up to, Erin, and what everybody else has been up to. So it's just an information gathering half an hour for me. And sorry that I can't stay for the whole thing. Nice to see everybody.
Good of you to come in for half an hour, Anna. Thank you, do appreciate it. Next you can see Darlene. Hello, Darlene.
Morning, everyone. Dialing in from the east of Scotland, which today are on a public holiday, but not us. Although it's nice and quiet, so I'm making the most of that. Looking forward to hearing the chat.
Good, good. Please do join in. Next I can see Sarah Williamson, Northern Ireland. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah, hi there. Sorry not to be on screen. I need to get my my video link sorted. Yeah, I'm just really interested to hear and learn from Erin about the fellowship. We've got lots of people at different QI training stages now, another big program about to launch. So just curious about, about to hear all about it. Looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Then I've got Edwin. Hi, Edwin. How are you? Can you hear us, Edwin? If you get a chance, Edwin, please do perhaps pop your name in the chat box and tell us where you're from. If you can't, I'm assuming you can hear us, but perhaps aren't able to talk to us. And then finally, I've got somebody on the phone who a number ending in 7,000. I don't know who that is. Can I just say hello to whoever that is? Hi. I'm assuming that person can hear us, but obviously also can't contribute in terms of the conversation. So I think that's everybody, Erin. I think at this stage I'm going to hand over to you. I am going to turn my video off, Erin, because I'm a bit low on bandwidth, but I will still be hearing. I will still be listening. Okay. So Erin, over to you.
Lovely. Could you go to the quality improvement strategy slide, please, Ian?
Yeah, Lindsay, you've got control of the slides.
Oh, Lindsay, keep going. Other way. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is a bit strange. This is my first Zoom hosting session, so it feels a little bit strange speaking to everybody virtually in this way. So I'll do my best, so bear with me. So you come to listen to us talking about our quality improvement fellowship. It's really important for us to be able to talk to you about why the quality improvement fellowship kind of started and was initiated and how it fits with our quality improvement strategy. So the screen that you can see right here at the moment is an overview of our quality improvement strategy. It tells you what quality improvement is, which I think we're all in a position where we kind of know. And it talks about our strategic aims, which are pretty self-explanatory. When you think about quality improvement, we're trying to improve quality, but we're also trying to make Yas a great place to work and increase the efficiency and effectiveness of our services. I don't think there's anything that would say about our strategic aims in relation to our QI strategy. What's a little bit different is the way that we've gone about the building blocks of our quality improvement. If you have a look in the right-hand corner, we've got like a pyramid, and the very foundation we're trying to achieve through our QI strategy is, first of all, having a strong rationale, so strong vision. Why do we need quality improvement in our trust? Why do we need to do something different than we've done before? Can everybody just pop on mute for me, please? Just hear a little bit of noise in the background. And then it's about the readiness of the organisation. Now, personally, I've worked in organisations that haven't felt ready for change and for the quality improvement to be implemented in their areas. I worked for an acute trust quite a while back who talked a lot about quality improvement and talked a lot about wanting quality improvement in the organisation. But actually, they didn't really know what that meant or how to go about it, and it actually was quite difficult to get through the red tape that is involved when you do quality improvement. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about the QI Fellowship as a whole. In terms of alignment, our third part of our foundations, we needed to make sure that what we were doing in quality improvement was aligning to what the organisational needed. And that helps us to build a level of trust with our senior colleagues, but also with our frontline staff. So there's a clear way forward, there's a clear message of what we're trying to improve in terms of quality in our organisations. The next level, sat on top of the foundations, is really about getting people involved in quality improvement. So when you've got the buy-in from your senior management, when you've started to get buy-in from your frontline colleagues, how do we actually push that? And we need to build on staff engagement. We need to create ideas or allow ideas to be generated from those people who are actually doing the work. And we need a forum and somewhere for those ideas to be collated and collected. Another important building block was getting patients and service users involved. Now, this is an area that we're progressing and we need to progress more. Getting that patient voice to people who are actually using our service to have a voice in how we're going to improve that service. And then the resource and time, and this is really where the quality improvement fellows kind of come into our pyramid. We needed to give people the time to do quality improvement and to learn how to do quality improvement. And then sat above that is the methodology for doing improvement. In our organisation, we focus very heavily on the model for improvement because it's quite a simple process to follow. It can be used by anybody and everybody. And we've also started to develop lean methodologies, Virginia Mason, but these are all done by our specialist teams right at the ground floor. We want all our staff to have a methodology that they can use when they're thinking about change and thinking about improvement. And then obviously we need to evaluate, and we need to continually evaluate what we're doing in terms of our QI strategy. Because as we move forward and as we become more capable, we need to learn from what's gone right and what's gone wrong, and we need to adapt, and we need to continually adapt throughout the whole of our strategy. And then that learning sat right at the top just encompasses all of those foundations, all supported by strong leadership and strong commitment from everybody. So if we move on to the QI Fellowship. So the QI Fellowship forms part of the resource and time elements of our strategy. And we decided very early on that if we were going to be serious about quality improvement in our organisation, then we needed to make sure that we were giving people the time and the right tools to be able to do quality improvement. I'll answer your question in a minute, Ian. In terms of support, that was the very first step. So a guy called Dave Green, who was the head of quality improvement before I started working at YAS, developed an idea based on the clinical fellowship that actually if we had our homegrown quality improvement fellows, then we'd be able to start supporting capacity and capability within our organisation. So he spoke to our board of directors, and quite early on they were really supportive of this initiative. And by the time I came in September, the first lot of QI fellows had already started in the previous March and were really embedded, and they were going constantly, well not constantly, but there was an open door policy to our board of directors where they could go and get support from them on an anytime basis. So initially, the most important step for the QI Fellowship was gaining that support from the board. And whilst we're looking at a frontline staff being involved in quality improvement, if you've not got that board level engagement, it's very difficult to get it off the ground. And I've learnt that firsthand through working in different organisations where we have had the support and where we haven't. And it makes it very difficult to move forward. So once you've got the board on board, it's also a good idea to get your senior managers to support this programme, because they're the people who are going to release our quality improvement fellows. Our quality improvement fellowship allows staff to go off on secondment for half their time. So they work 37.5 hours a week. Half that time is split between their substantive role and their quality improvement fellowship. And we felt that that was particularly important because they needed to keep doing what they were doing and implement quality improvement, implement their change methodology to their own work. Initially, when we put the QI Fellowship out for advert, we got approximately 30 applications from across the Yorkshire region. So not that many in terms of percentage of staff, but actually a concept that nobody really understood. Quality improvement wasn't really anything within our organisation at that time. So we got some really brave people coming forward and taking that leap of faith with us. There was an interview process. We communicated the Quality Improvement Fellowship out to the whole organisation through our central comms. And we got those 30 applicants, of which 6 were employed by the quality and safety team. And then an additional 2 were supported, one by the Director of Operations and one through funding through Sheffield CCG. So in total, on our first cohort of QI Fellows, we had 8. We provided them with training. Very early on, it was recognised that we didn't necessarily have the capacity and capability to do this alone. So we asked our local Improvement Academy for some help and support. The Improvement Academy came in and they provided some induction training to the new QI Fellows who started in April 2018. And they continued to support through training opportunities and through action learning sets. So an arena for people to share learning, for the QI Fellows in particular to share learning. And they supported and coached and mentored the QI Fellows, particularly in the time between the old head of quality improvement leaving and me starting in September. It was quite a broken year in terms of leadership for QI. So the fact that the QI Fellows all stayed on, all completed the course and did so in parts on their own, actually is testament to how much these people believed in quality improvement. Initially, the Quality Improvement Fellows chose their own projects. So during the application process and the interview process, they all spoke passionately about things that they wanted to change, things that they'd seen on the shop floor that they felt needed changing. And they were supported to run with those projects. And very early on, you could see that some of these projects weren't aligned to our strategic thinking, and you needed the senior managers to be on board with their improvement projects. It was very difficult for their senior managers to see the benefits in some of the projects that they were doing. Some were very successful, but some were very, very difficult to get off the ground. They found very early on that change is slow in an organisation, particularly in an organisation where quality improvement isn't embedded. So people that not only were they trying to manage their projects in a quality improvement way, but they also had to manage people's expectations. And they found that incredibly difficult. And I remember having a conversation with them in about September, October, and they were telling me it's just too hard. It's just too hard to make any changes. And actually, sorry, I'm reading the text as well as we go along. And actually, they didn't feel that they were getting anywhere with the projects. However, if you had a look at what they'd actually achieved, they'd achieved more than I would have expected them to. It's just their expectations were set much higher. So they came into the quality improvement programme ready to change the world and recognise that actually it was a lot more difficult than they'd first anticipated. And we as the core QI team needed to support those expectations, but we also needed to learn from how they were feeling now and put that into the next QI programme. Part of the QI Fellowship not only was doing the projects and getting the initial training about quality improvement, it was also training the trainer. So throughout their course and towards the end of their programme, we taught them to deliver what we call silver level training, so a day's worth of quality improvement training. Now, doing quality improvement is one thing, but being able to train other people really consolidates that learning. And we saw a massive change in the QI Fellows once they'd started really taking apart what they thought they knew to a point where they could teach that quality improvement methodology to other people. And they learned so much through going through that process. Towards the end of the year, we started evaluating the programme. We evaluated not just from the point of view as has it been successful in terms of their projects, but we evaluated how they felt about the Quality Improvement Fellowship. It was set up so that we could have people at the front line being supported to build capacity, build capability, to deliver projects and deliver improvements at that sort of level. and we needed to know whether we had achieved that. So there was a lot of quantitative, a lot of qualitative data collected, a lot of speaking to the QI fellows to get a real sense of what's worked well and what's not worked well. And then that all culminated in a celebratory event. So bearing in mind, these people at the start of the programme were working on the road, or they were working in their offices, or they were working in the training centre. They were now delivering a presentation to the CEO, to the senior managers, to the board of directors, to the Improvement Academy, and actually even to the CQC, who attended our celebratory event. And they gave an overview of the projects that they worked on throughout the year, but also the opportunities that they'd had. So we don't just ask them to work on the projects, but if there's meetings to go to, we've got 2 of our QI fellows now on this call, so they're looking at national work, and it just provided them with so much opportunity. And I think Damian will probably talk about that a little bit more when you hear from him. I'm just going to have a quick look through some of these questions at this point. Ian, did you have a question?
I did, Erin. I mean, there's a couple of reflections I put in the chat room as well. One was around, the point that you made in terms of, getting that, I'm going to call it structural support in place. So you had a really good open supported board, and it seemed senior management, but, who were willing to really sort of take the sort of enthusiasm of the cohort that you had and support it. And the bit that I was just sort of tweaked a little bit was, you mentioned that a number of them took on some projects and, had some frustrations, because they wanted to change the world in the first instance. Can you just give a sense of some of those projects that they took on and about the sort of impact that they had?
Well, initially the projects that we took on, one of our QI fellows was going for a paperless organisation. That was the initial thought process. The other one was associated with DATEX and changing our process in terms of final approvals for DATEX. That'll make sense to some people, but basically it's a big change in process where we centrally manage the DATEX, and that was going to be rolled out across the organisation to make other people responsible for it. There was another project which was really, really interesting around the use of mobile phones. And it was the Quality Improvement Fellow, Carl, who was involved in this project, thought it'd be really simple to fix. So basically people weren't using the mobile phones, or the mobile phones in the ambulances weren't there when they were needed. So a simple task, well, make sure they're in the vehicle. He's still completing this project now, and it's become a resilience project, making sure that we've got 2 forms of communication available to our frontline crews at all time. So something that started as something that he perceived as really simple was actually very, very complex. And I think that was quite an eye-opener for a lot of the quality improvement fellows when they started. They thought that what they should be doing is just a simple fix, a plaster over a wound, but actually using the QI methodology and really analysing the problem enabled them to see a much bigger picture, but also as part of that, a much more complex issue.
Thanks, Erin. It's really helpful. Getting quite a lot of chat going on about other people having their own sort of, not versions of QI, but where they are as well. I don't know if anybody wants to comment. Got some comments from Waston, from NIAS, I think, and from Northern Ireland. Any of you want to comment?
Just a very sort of quick one. The thing that pops in my head straight away is the work that the Project A took around the Welsh Falls framework. It will be very interesting to see individual trusts mapping themselves against the work that Yas have already done. And as I said, we're 12 months behind, and we always have been to where Yorkshire are now. Would I like to be where Erin is now? I'd probably give my right arm for it, but it's something that's worth considering. Is this the sort of structure that would fit nationally? It's not as if there's going to be any local differences in QI from Yas to Scotland to Wales to North East to Sarah at NIAS, unless anybody thinks any different. It's not a bad place to start, is it?
Erin, if you would you change based on where you're at now? Is there anything that you do differently? So because I completely agree with what you're saying, Dave, and it sounds like a great look, and on paper it's really comprehensive and like you've considered every sort of angle. But like, I'm not a QI expert at all. I just, based on your experience, would you, if a trust was starting up or like where NIAS is, what would you do differently?
The most important thing would be around the project allocation, really. People are coming into the QI Fellowship to make changes because they feel passionate about improving the quality of what they do, and making sure and being able to give them the advice on what projects to take forward is really important. One of the other things that we did, I said briefly that we linked with our improvement academy. We've gone along in the second year because we believe that we've built that capacity up. Linking with that sponsor, linking with someone who can mentor you, particularly if you don't have a lot of people in your organisation who are quality improvement trained, is really, really helpful and successful. In terms of doing things differently, I think it has to grow organically, and things won't go right and things won't go well. You'll have a lot of red tape, but it's only through time that you're actually going to remove some of that red tape. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
So I think Damian is going to just give you a brief overview of how it actually feels to be a quality improvement fellow. I can tell you how we got there. I can tell you about the strategy, but I can't tell you how it feels to be in that place. So Damian, over to you.
All right, thanks for that, Erin. So hello everyone, anyone that didn't catch me earlier on, my name's Damian. I'm a Quality Improvement Fellow for the Yorkshire Ambulance Service. My substantive role is a paramedic, and I have been with the Yorkshire Ambulance Service for about 4 years. My past experience before that, just to give you a quick rundown, I was an area manager for a games retail company. Started off as a Christmas temp there and managed to work my way up pretty quickly with them. In the 4 years that I was there, I managed to be in control of about 60 stores and about 250 staff members. So when this idea of quality improvement came about, I felt that I already had some reasonably good management skills. In my old job, I did start up a thing called Bright Sparks. Bright Sparks, unbeknownst to me, was what Yaz have as a Bright Ideas. So we give the opportunity for staff members who work in A&E operations and who are at headquarters, the opportunity to submit ideas, and these can be looked at and implemented if they feel like this can make a difference. When I first saw the quality improvement came out, it was through our internal mail, and there was an expression of interest put out. So it's where we write out about 500 words as to why we think we can do the job, what it means to us, why we want to do them. I took this opportunity because I am really passionate about making a change, and especially to the environment that I worked in. Again, with my previous experience, I thought that I was a relatively good fit for the role. I'm a massive believer in change and that things can always be improved. I always found that the staff on the ground floor, and as Erin says, on the shop floor, do have a lot of ideas, and sometimes they don't particularly have the knowledge or the confidence to go about asking and seeing how these changes can be made. It also comes down to culture a lot of the time. So I filled out my expression of interest, sent that off. As Erin said, there was 30 people that applied, and I was lucky enough to be invited for an interview. The interview was really good, quite informal. We sat down and had a chat. It was the first time that I'd met Erin. We was asked to talk about what quality improvement was to us, and to discuss, as Erin said, a project that we felt passionately about. As Ian asked earlier on about the projects, my project in particular, I didn't quite know, but wasn't aligned at all to what Erin had in mind for the Quality Improvement Fellows. I was looking at running a CPD event, so continual professional development on delivering bad news for paramedics, something that I felt I never had training in, and speaking to other people on my station in my area, they also felt the same. So that was kind of the line that I wanted to run down, which is educational, but not really anything aligned to the quality improvement framework. I must have said something right at the interview, because I was very lucky to get a call back off Erin and be offered the quality improvement post, which I was really, really happy about. Again, it does mean that I work half the time as a paramedic and half the time as a quality improvement fellow, although the lines do blur occasionally, and I do find myself doing both. So yeah, that's basically my background into the quality improvement. I started in April along with a few of my other colleagues. We was given 3 days training in Leeds that was run by Erin and a few of last year's quality improvement fellow. Obviously, I'm the second cohort, so there is a group before us. The training was really interesting, and to be honest, it completely opened my mind up to what quality improvement is. I did think I had a good general knowledge of what it would be and the processes involved. Once the training was completed, I pretty much realised that I didn't know very much about it, and I was given the tools and all the training that I needed to go ahead. But I think with quality improvement, and especially for me in the fellowship role, it's one of those where you hit the ground running and you really have to get yourself involved and out there and see what you can do. The support is always there, which is absolutely brilliant, but it is a real trial by fire and learn by failing in such a sense, which is what quality improvement is all about. You know, you make the mistakes to learn from. So my experiences, we'll start with some of the tougher lessons that I think I've learned from the Quality Improvement Fellowship. I'm originally from Hull, a city in East Yorkshire, for those of you that don't know. And being in Yas for 4 years, I was still completely unaware of how big of a machine the Yorkshire Ambulance Service is. Going into HQ and seeing all the different areas and all the different people, I really didn't realise what goes on behind the scenes and how that affects everybody else. I was quite naive in just thinking that my local management team, my clinical supervisor, my line manager, and then my sector commander was literally all there was. And for 4 years, that's all I thought. And I would imagine for the majority of people out there in the ambulance service, that's all they think. And it's not until you kind of get to headquarters and out and about that you realise just how big the service is. Another thing that I suppose is a little bit difficult is doing half my time as a paramedic, my substantive role, and half the time as a quality improvement fellow. It seems like I have a lot of hours in a week to follow through with quality improvement, but actually when it comes down to what needs doing, it can be quite difficult to kind of get everything done in those 18 hours a week. And again, I'm sat here saying 18 hours a week thinking that sounds like a very long time, but it actually isn't when it's stuff that you're trying to get done. You're kind of waiting for a lot of people. I said to Erin previously that you email somebody and you're waiting for a reply off somebody, and you know you can't move on in your project until you get that reply, but that reply can maybe take 2 days to come, and it kind of puts a halt to your plans and where you are with your project. There's also barriers. It's a big buzzword at the moment. I think that there's always barriers in place, whether that be from people or the places that you're trying to contact. In particular, it can be quite difficult sometimes with kind of middle management, lower management to kind of get your project off the ground, because as Erin mentioned, QI isn't embedded that well at the moment. It's something that's kind of going along and growing as we grow as people in the ambulance service. And these people in management sometimes aren't really appreciative of what you're trying to do and the scale of what you're trying to do. So where I'm looking for support with certain stuff, you almost kind of get a barrier and told that it won't happen and it's unable to. And again, that's another time where we have to learn as we go along, because it just means that we find another route, and unfortunately we have to go and ask somebody else who then is able to feed that down to say that we need the support and this is what should be done. I mentioned to Erin recently, I sat and had a meeting with Erin and said that I thought it'd be a lot easier to get a project up and running. When I was offered the QI fellowship role, I kind of sat down and I let my mind run wild, and I came up with 3, 4, 5 different projects, and I was thinking, oh, it can't be that hard. We'll just email this and we'll get that sorted, and we'll be able to get. Sorry, I'm getting distracted and reading now as well. I thought that getting a project up and running and something that I thought would work would be, you know, a couple of weeks' work at best. Yet, as it turns out, I'm still on my first project now, and it's only just coming to a small scale trial, and we're nearly halfway through the project now. So I think it's really important for people to understand that it isn't something that can be fixed overnight, and it does take time. And, you know, when we run these PDSA cycles, it may turn out that these projects don't work and it was better the time before. And I think that will be a really difficult thing for me if at the end of my project, it actually turns out that the cycle hasn't been successful and the results show that it was actually better the way it was run before. But again, that is something that I'll have to come to terms with when that happens. Again, I sometimes think that I sit and doubt myself. I'm lucky enough that only one day a week I go into HQ, and the other times I'm pretty much left free. Erin's really good at trusting us in what we're doing is beneficial and worthwhile. So with these hours in the week, I sometimes sit and doubt the amount that I've done, even though I've been really, really busy. And, you know, it can even be down to you've spent the day emailing and trying to get stuff sorted. You can almost have a sense of self-doubt that you should have done more with your time, and whether the projects that you're running are going to be helpful at all, as I previously mentioned. My experience before this, like I said, I did think that would be really, really helpful for this job role. And kind of to sum it all up, I think until you actually have a go at quality improvement and what it entails and what it's about, you kind of can get overwhelmed with the whole situation of it and the scale of the company that you're working for. I'm very lucky in Erin and the QI team and the support that I have that keep us grounded and we'll always have an open door policy where we can walk in and just chat about whatever we want. So that's kind of my not bad experiences, but I suppose the tough learning points that I've had to learn over these past 6 months. And of course, there's brilliant things with quality improvement. As Erin said, the opportunity to really explore a problem and not just plaster over the crack. Coming from a frontline paramedic, I can sit there in the mess room at break and listen to everybody complain about everything that's going on. But ultimately, you know, we can't just go out there and plaster over the crack. We do need to kind of look at the bigger picture in that and sit down and really delve into the problem. You know, that requires gathering the data and putting together cycles that we can explore properly with it. I love getting the opportunity to move around the service. You know, my days where I'm not in headquarters, a lot of the time is moving around the service and people contacting me, and I have meetings with a lot of my colleagues and people from different areas. And it's this culture change where people are realising that Yaz are happy to listen to what they want to say. And I sit with these people that email me with their ideas, and we discuss the idea and how it would work and what they think the problem is. And then people are really happy to feel like they're being acknowledged. And also I'm delivering a little bit of the silver training that Erin said in the way that once I've sat and discussed it with them and talked about the problems and how we can fix it and what we need to do that, they go away then and they almost autonomously work away by themselves, and they'll get back in touch with me as well if they need any help. I feel really lucky to be recognised in a QI way as well, in that way that people will have the confidence to contact me. I feel like I'm making a real difference at the moment, and it's a great opportunity for anybody that gets involved. Everybody that I talk about QI to, I mentioned that it is only a secondment, and you know, after my year is up, for them to get involved, because it is a great opportunity. And ultimately, the only way that things are going to change is if people recognise that and people are willing to put that across. It's a really refreshing approach, I think, to what I always thought of kind of a top-down approach. The quality improvement is a ground-up approach, and you know, it's turning that way now, of where my colleagues are getting involved in various things. I'm getting involved in projects and workshops that I never thought I'd have the chance to experience. The training delivered by Erin and her team. Well, ultimately, I'm part of the team now, should I say. It's given me the opportunity and insight to support and improve my own development, which is really critical for us, because I think with the size of what the ambulance service is, it can be really difficult to reach out to every corner of the service. So having us there to support everybody there is a really good opportunity. And ultimately, what I want to see is the culture change. You know, it's always been a case of where things have been told it would never ever change, and this is the way it is because that's the way it's always been. And myself, Nathan, who's part of this conference, and the quality improvement fellows and the people we speak to, we are given a really good opportunity to make a difference and change that culture. And as the time's going by, that culture is changing, whether it just be on my station or my area or Nathan's station. We all know them types of people that we know would say that it's us against the management is the term that's deemed, but it's actually changing now, and everybody's kind of working together to benefit not only ourselves but the patient that we are working with. To round it off, I suppose I hope and I predict that quality improvement in the ambulance service will grow and become even more successful. I'm halfway through my journey, and ultimately I am happy with where I am. I would like to have done a little bit more, but it's a thing where I've had to learn as I've gone along, and it's not a case of where I can hit the ground running and build big projects up that I thought, because it's my own development that's coming along at the same time. The training and confidence that I've gained from Erin and from the stuff that I've personally followed myself, it makes me always be a part of quality improvement. You know, it's not something that as soon as my secondment finishes, that's it. It's something that I'll always be able to carry on. And it's exciting to see the impact of QI, even in a short period of time. I feel like that the people around me are almost growing and developing into a quality improvement framework that they didn't know. I'm just really happy to be a part of it, to be honest. And I want to say thank you to Erin for giving me the opportunity to train she's given me.
It's a pleasure, Damian. It's a pleasure. Seeing how you've grown actually over just these 6 months, and your attitude towards change, it's really quite special actually.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a great opportunity. So I understand I might not have been 15 minutes, but that is all I've got for now, I'm afraid. I didn't catch anybody's questions, so if anybody does have any questions, then feel free. So very quickly in terms of next steps, so our QI fellowship lasts for a year. At the beginning of the QI fellowship, there wasn't enough thought into what happens to the QI fellows after that year. And we were very, very lucky in the fact that our Director of Operations decided to support the QI Fellows Cohort 1 to become quality improvement advisors in year 2 and onwards. And he's given them 2 days a week to do quality improvement because he sees the impact of what they did in the first year and wants it to continue. Now, another problem with the QI Fellowship is that a lot of our QI Fellows from last year have been promoted since they did the Quality Improvement Fellowship. They have mostly stayed within our own organisation now, and the benefits of them going to work in other areas in a capacity where they can influence change is fantastic. We've only had one member who has left to move on to bigger and better things, but she's working for our local university, and she's going to be doing the quality improvement training to student paramedics coming into the workplace. So there has been a lot of benefits there, but we don't have a sustainable programme for after the QI fellowship at the moment. There are some areas of the organisation that are happy to support QI advisors going into role, and there are other areas of the department, of the organisation, that we still need to develop in terms of their understanding of the benefits of quality improvements. In terms of this year, we continue to have 6 places available through the quality and safety team, and we will do for 5 years in total. And then we'll reevaluate what our requirements are. But our Director of Ops supported an additional 3 quality improvement fellows, and our 111 service also supported an extra quality improvement fellow this year. So we have 10 quality improvement fellows employed in 2019-20, which shows the buy-in, I think, from our senior management teams in relation to what quality improvement is and how it's working for us as an organisation. So happy to take any questions about what we've said today.
So any thoughts and reflections from people?
I just typed one, Erin, which may be one from others as well, which is, how does this fit with the other things you have going on around training in QI? I think I'm trying to figure out, in Northern Ireland, the Department of Health kind of done this big attributes framework, and there's 3 levels of QI training, and I'm just trying to work out where, in terms of like data analysis and all of that, where this is pitched at. So it just would be useful to get a sense of the just other offers that you have as to how specialised this is, if you know what I mean.
So the Quality Improvement Fellowship is a very specialised programme. It's very intense training, and by the end of it, we would expect the Quality Improvement Fellows to not only be able to successfully undertake quality improvement projects, but also to deliver what we call silver level training to our colleagues. So at that level, it's quite intense. Other training programmes, we do a bronze level, which is knee learning. We do a silver level, which is a one-day quality improvement course. We also are going to offer in the very near future a service improvement day that works alongside the quality improvement day, looking at more process-driven quality improvement tools. And then we've got gold level training, which at the moment is train the trainer, but we're going to be developing that into more leading complex change projects. So we've got a quality improvement for leaders programme of training in place, and that will support the gold level. So it's work in progress, Sarah, and it's a model that our quality improvement team and service improvement team are two separate teams under the same director. So we're just working really hard at the moment to align our training offer as an organisation. But I'd anticipate in the next month or so, we have something concrete that we could share with everybody about what our training opportunities are and how they all fit together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. So are you, for those guys then doing the fellowship, they're learning like model for improvement, PDSA, data analysis, like just that kind of thing?
Yeah, so our model that we use at YAS is the model for improvement. The training for the QI Fellows is structured around that. So the analytical tools you'd use in analysing your problem, measurement tools that you'd use in assessing your improvement, and then other tools that you'd use to create your ideas for change. So it all fits around and is all linked to the model for improvement. And the same with our service improvement team, everything that they're doing in relation to lean methodology, Virginia Mason, we're linking it all back to that model for improvement, that very basic tool that can be used for that very basic methodology that can be used in pretty much any situation.
Brilliant, thank you.
There's a couple of questions in the chat box as well from Darlene and Carol. I don't know if you want to answer those as well, Erin.
Yeah. How do you link internal fellows with those who may do a QI fellowship external to the organisation? We don't have anyone near us that we know of that is doing quality improvement fellowship. Our quality improvement fellows do link with the clinical fellows, but it is a different training programme. So we don't really link with anyone because nobody around our area seems to be doing it. Darlene, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. I'm aware that obviously it's the UK, there's external opportunities. Then it was just that, how do you bring that all together and make the most of? Because I guess what you're saying is you've thought beyond the year now. And I'm just aware that we've certainly had some others go external to the organisation and do QI, and then it's just how do you make sure you're getting everybody still kind of being part of that QI network, etc. Yeah,
it's an interesting concept, and obviously it's really important to share that learning. I mean, the QI fellows, once they get their gold trainer, do link with what we call the Quitten network, which is the Quality Improvement Trainers Network, and their quality improvement leads and trainers from across the Yorkshire region, acute trusts, CCGs. So they do link in that capacity. But it is a homegrown fellowship that is done out of YAS. So there isn't any kind of external links for them at present, but it would be nice if people do this fellowship to have a network of fellows to share that learning across the patches. There's just a little something from Edwin here as well about the size of QI projects and where to start. In my personal experience, and this is something that has to be quite personal, it needs to be something very, very small for them to start off with. And I'm talking about one element of a larger process that might need fixing. So Damian, for example, is doing a project on student epaulets. So he identified that when he was working frontline, actually, Damian, do you want to talk a little bit about your project? It's better coming from you.
Yeah, of course will, yeah. So as I mentioned in my initial interview, my initial project wasn't aligned with QI really at all. Something that I had kind of in the pipeline was looking at student paramedic epaulets and how the current student paramedic epaulets don't denote a year of training. I gathered some data via an online survey to all clinicians in my area, and literally just asked a simple set of questions to gather whether they also felt the same. The results came back and showed that the clinicians also believed that the current student paramedic epaulets was confusing. It didn't give people an opportunity to say what year they was in, what skill set they had. Looking at how things are done elsewhere in the NHS and in particular hospitals, the student nurses all have a stripe to denote what year they're in. So 1 stripe for the first year, 2 for second year, and 3 for the third year. Now that all student paramedics are required to do a 3-year BSc, I kind of went along with this structure. So as I was saying, my project is about to go to a small scale trial in Hull, where we'll run a PDSA cycle to see if it makes a difference. I had a meeting with a stakeholder who was happy to fund it, which was obviously, coming from my background in TIAS, was a terrifying experience to go and ask for funding for something. But again, it's getting embedded in there, and they was more than happy to help me out and support me with whatever I wanted. So I'm hoping to run this trial. I would imagine that the results are going to be pretty positive. I'll resurvey after that to collect some more data, this time involving the students as well, to find out whether they thought it was helpful. And then we'll go from there. With that, hopefully we'll be able to scale and spread that out to a wider area.
Thank you, Damian. I think that's probably all we've got time for now, but I'm happy for you to contact me if you feel like you want any further information, or you feel that there's things that we can link up with or share. Our personal email address in the chat box for anybody who's interested. Thank you.
Just what I was about to suggest. Yeah, can you pop your email in the chat box? That'd be really helpful. Helpful, Erin. Just as a final thing, I am aware of the fact, yes, we are getting towards the bottom of the hour, and people will be wanting to get to other things. It'd be really helpful for us if everybody could just do a little bit of feedback in the chat box if you get the chance. Can you tell us a little bit around what you've thought of the last hour, and perhaps what's the main thing that you've taken away for either for your service or for your particular area? Just be interested in that. And then I think there is probably a follow-up discussion that we might want to be having with Yaz about how do we promote this on a wider scale with the Ambulance Q network, which I think was the initial sort of suggestion that came through in the first sort of quarter of an hour or so. So if everybody can perhaps just put some comments about what they've taken away and where they might use something in the future, that'd be really helpful. So I'm just going to give people a couple of seconds to do that. So let's have a quick look through some of the comments that are coming through. So Carol, very informative. Can you share the video? Yeah, we're more than happy to do that. We can pop this video around whoever needs to, and send it around all the people on this call. Edwin, really interesting experience. Loved the bit about Damian's overview as well. That's great. Nice fact there was space for Q&A. How do we get this out in a wider format? That was from me. Really useful to understand the way that this is being developed. That's from David. Really interesting hour. David wants to learn more, particularly likes the trainer side of things. Sarah, again, really interesting to hear about this. I think it's a real win-win, something similar for Northern Ireland next year. Darlene talking about the investment of time and the opportunity to allow people to progress. Lynn's cracking this, they're coming in thick and fast. Can we get the slide sets? Yes, we can. And thanks. And Damian's finished by saying thank you everybody for listening. It was an absolute pleasure to share his experience. Well, it was a pleasure listening to you, Damian, in fairness. It was great to hear from you. I'm sure everybody will back me up on that. Right, so we will share all the slides. We will share the video, and we will take all the chat and share that with Erin. And I think that we will probably have a follow-up call with Erin, if that's okay, and Damian and others who might want to be interested about, can we turn this into something, Erin, in a similar way that we did with the funds framework? Can we turn it into something that others can take and have a look at and start to question and think about for themselves? I think it's been a really special session, so thank you.
No problem. Thank you, everyone.
So shall we end with a traditional Zoom wave? Yeah? Does everybody know how to do that? Yeah? So after, on the count of 3, everybody wave and say goodbye to each other. So 1, 2, 3. Bye all.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye all.
Thank you.
Bye all.